Hello and good day. I'm Dave Guresso. I just wanted to thank you for listening today. I'm going to be starting to do a weekly topic, and my main goal here is to introduce people who aren't Christian to Christianity. I know a lot of us feel uncomfortable. I was once there myself, and my main goal is just to help introduce Christianity to those who are uncomfortable with it or find it strange or just maybe have some general questions. This week's topic is titled, What's Up with All the Holy Rollers and Bible-thumpers? A lot of folks out there see a lot of different videos. They see things on the streets, and sometimes you see things that are a little off color, make you a little uncomfortable. I just wanted to kind of clear some things up for you. I put together a little introduction for you to kind of give you some explanation on some questions that you may have. Once again, the title's What's Up with All the Holy Rollers and Bible-thumpers? And I just like to say that, for years I used to sit back and wonder the same thing. I watched friends and coworkers in the past talk about God and all He had supposedly done for them, but I didn't get it myself. They seemed to be in some euphoric state, high on something that I couldn't even see or even prove existed. I didn't even get it. How are you even supposed to believe in something you can't prove existed? A couple of years ago, though, my sister invited me to attend a new church. It's actually Northridge Church, for those of you who have heard of it. I resisted at first because I really just wasn't comfortable. I was quite irritated with the thought of even being around people with high expectations of the world. My initial interpretation was, what would this crazy church be like? Would they be raising their hands in the air and looking at me weird for walking in there? How could I ever meet up to the expectations of the pretentious Christian who would probably simply look at me and say, well, you're going to hell unless you change your life? All the while, all that could keep going through my mind was just the hypocritical nature of what I perceived a Christian to be. They just seemed like they were so much better than I was, carrying around this arrogant sense of pride and self-righteousness, and I hated that. I didn't know why at the time, but eventually I folded and I decided to go to this church in Northridge. I finally decided to go there, and it was actually a lot more interesting than I thought it would be, and I learned a lot of different things as far as truth for myself. I just wanted to share this with you, that since I started attending Northridge, I've learned the following, and this applies to both Christians and non-Christians alike. One, we are all hypocrites. All of us say things, do things, feel things. We have our own ideas about what's wrong, what's right, and all of us at times go against that. If anybody out there feels that they haven't done that, you're kidding yourself. We all have this nature to want to judge people, to feel things about people, say things about people, but sooner or later you realize that somewhere along the line when you're doing that, you're messing up yourself. I'm guilty of it. I do things every day that I'm just not comfortable with, I'm not happy with, and inside I can kind of contain it, but on the outside, it looks as if I'm doing things right, or maybe I thought something about a particular person, but I didn't say it out loud. So therefore, to you on the outside it may seem, oh, okay, well, this guy's got it together, but really on the inside I'm screaming. I'm lost, I'm hurt, I'm in pain, things aggravate me, frustrate me, and because of that broken nature, things just they're not perfect inside, and we make mistakes. And yes, we all become hypocrites. We're all selfish and prideful. We all have our own selfish nature. We all are full of pride. We're all broken by something in our lives, regardless of our religion or faith or lack thereof. Some of us don't have any faith at all. But either way, it doesn't matter. We are all broken in some way. Something hurts all of us. Something drives all of us into doing something or feeling something or thinking something that shouldn't be there. We all lie. We all arrive at low points in our lives that that make us question the very life we live. We all make terrible decisions. We all do things even though we know in our hearts they're wrong. We all pass judgment on others, at least part of the time, whether it's in our minds or out loud, and it's just the same to God. And we all have a desire to experience closeness, love, and affection in our lives, and we will fight relentlessly to get it. Think about all the times in your life when you felt lost. What did you do to get that love, that affection, that closeness in your life? What did you have to give up? Was it always the right thing? Was it always the right choice? Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. But either way, we all desire that, and some of us have not always done the right things to get that. And coming to the realization that all people, including Christians, experience these truths, I suddenly became open-minded enough to at least be receptive to the idea that maybe there was something more to all this God stuff than I once thought. Now, although I'm not going to force this message down your throat with a bunch of Bible verses, because I realize that many of you, may not even believe that the Bible is real. My guess is that many of you might even question its validity. For those of you who don't believe in God at all, or maybe you feel there's a higher power at work, but you're just unsure about all the rules that Christians apply to the Bible's teachings in their lives, you might say something like, the Bible was written and manipulated by people. How could it be the work of a higher power? For those of you that you might be confident that God is real, but don't trust or agree with all or part of the Bible, you might say something like, there are several versions of the Bible. How can we trust something that isn't even consistent? And how do we know which one is the right one to follow? Others have said things like, if God is so powerful and so all-knowing, why would he put us here and set us up for failure, knowing that we would fail before we even did? Or, I just don't understand how some people can be so good to others, or why something could feel so good to us as individuals, but yet still be wrong in God's eyes. I want you to know, all of you, that I can relate to these things. I felt them myself. I used to feel the same in every step of what I just said. Many of you already know me from the past or present and know that I am certainly not the most picture-perfect image of a man. I'm as flawed, broken, and messed up as the next guy, and I don't deserve forgiveness from anyone. I don't even deserve your attention right now. But I want you to know that there are logical answers to these questions, and I've learned these truths for myself. Sure, the Bible does have the answers, but in an effort to help you understand this from a logical perspective, without inundating you with Bible verses and going all holy roller on you, I'll attempt to answer these questions using basic logic without compromising God's truth in the process. Let's start with the first question. The Bible was written and manipulated by people. How could it be the work of a higher power? Let me ask you this. How many people do you know that have not at some point in your life hurt you, said the wrong thing, did something off color, or just did something plain stupid when you sat back and said, what the heck are they doing? My guess is the answer is no one. If you really sit back and think about it, you'll notice that every person you've ever known has done something that is just absolutely irks you inside and makes you wonder, why do they do what they do? Everyone you know has either hurt you or someone else they know at some point in their lives, even if it's just for a moment in time. So my point is that we're all messed up to a degree in some way. Yes, the Bible was handwritten by people, but I ask you, if the Bible is not God-inspired, wouldn't you expect the content of the Bible to be just as messed up as the people who wrote it? When someone hurts us, our desire as people is to hurt them more. The Bible doesn't say that. It says the opposite. When we're alone and without hope, when we lose someone we love, when we experience pain, when we have done all that we can do to make ends meet and nothing works, our desire as people is to retreat, to retaliate, to give up, or to deny the very reality of our circumstances. The Bible has a different take on how we should respond. So I ask you again, if the Bible is as corrupt as the people who wrote it, why is its content so different than our human nature? If all of us are broken, tell me, who is smart enough and together enough? Who do you know that's smart enough and together enough to write such an amazing piece of literature that answers just about every question or concern we could have about our lives. I know I'm not that person. If it was manipulated, wouldn't all the people who had access to the Bible throughout human history have messed it up by now? Humanity can't even achieve peace and perfection in any government or society of this world, yet somehow we can write a book that does, and then refuse to follow the very literature we wrote. It just doesn't make sense. Humanity once believed that the earth was the center of the universe and then discovered they were wrong. All the scientists at that time backed it up, yet we were still wrong. People don't have all the answers, but the Bible does. Explain that. Now, without using Bible verses, doesn't that make some kind of sense? I mean, I had to consider these things for myself when I was questioning it a couple of years ago, before attending church myself. And I'm not telling you that you have to attend church to make it right, because that's not the answer. The answer is in Jesus. But again, I could share all the Bible verses with you to confirm this, but I just want you to consider for a moment the logic behind these questions. Consider the thoughts that run through your mind when you think about Christianity, when you think about the Bible. Rethink it. Consider the